Namudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you in today's session. So I hope all of you had a very Krishna conscious Damodar month in which you had a lot of, lot of wonderful opportunities for absorbing yourself in Krishna consciousness. And you also had the opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness through all the wonderful Deepdan programs that you have. Yet that's one of our standard programs, right? So, yes, thank you very much. So now in this week, we wish to complete the remainder of the portion for Bhagavad Gita. So I'm thinking that today I will end the chapter 4 remainder portion. Main discussion of chapter 4 is done already. Then one session for chapter 5th, which will be tomorrow. And I think two more sessions for chapter 6. Those two more sessions for chapter 6 is a bit formidable uh, coverage that I have to do. But yeah, otherwise today and tomorrow should be fine. We end chapter 4 today, and 5th is a very short chapter. So that will also be done. Okay, so let's see how it goes. But mostly we should be able to end in this week itself. Then my plan is to take the yoga ladder because it's very important topic. So I was thinking I can take the yoga ladder when I visit for the next unit, like whichever unit, basically next whenever we plan. Uh, that is where I can take because it's a section which is important and a lot of questions may be there. Once you understand, basically that's it. Then those first 6 chapters are very clear to you if you understand yoga ladder in a scrutinizing manner. So we can do that. Or if you suggest, Raj Prakash Prabhu can suggest if we want that this session should be taken online, then I'll take online also, no problem. Anything is okay. You can suggest me. So first we should complete the remainder of the portion. Let's do that. So we are in fourth chapter. You remember in fourth chapter we have already discussed the transcendental nature of Krishna and his appearance. Transcendental knowledge about Krishna that was discussed in verses 1 to 15. That was the major discussion. So let me share my screen. So yes, you have this PPT with you. So transcendental knowledge about Krishna from 4.1 to 15 we have discussed. Then action of a Nishkam Karma Yogi that was discussed from verse 16 to 24. So 24th ended with that very famous verse Brahmarpanam Brahmahavit Brahmamradam Brahmana Hutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So how that a Nishkam Karma Yogis, all the activities finally become Brahma. Now that is discussed. That was discussed because of his consciousness of seeing everything connected to Brahman. So we see that such a person, he develops this consciousness. And then because of that, his sacrifice and everything is considered to be Brahman. So Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to fight in such a way that his fighting becomes a sacrifice. And this entire fight is a sacrifice, Krishna is telling. Where Kurukshetra is the Yajna Kunda and the arrows of Arjuna, they are the ladle, Suruksuva, they are the spoons of the, Yajna apparatus by which one can perform the ahutis. And then Kauravas are that ahuti. So he's saying that make this fighting into a sacrifice, yajna. So if you have that consciousness, then everything becomes yajna. That's what Krishna is basically telling. While for Arjuna, what is his conception? That if I fight, if I act, that is bondage. That's what his conception is. So I should give up the action, karma sannyas. While Krishna is saying, no, you make your entire karma into Brahma. Uh, Sacrifice, you could say. He's asking him to make the whole work into a wonderful sacrifice. So, Nishkam Karma Yoga, if one is acting with perfect detachment, then everything, those actions turn into Brahman, Krishna is telling. Uh, so that's how. So we also discuss this application in terms of if we do the things in proper consciousness, then even the material things will turn into spiritual, isn't it? Hmm? If our consciousness is proper, like working in a job is a material thing, right? But if we have the consciousness of serving Krishna and Krishna's family through that, acting on Krishna's behalf as a guardian of the family, uh, protector of the family. So then that is actually completely spiritual aspect, right? So then we see that sort of work also will become spiritual. Relationships will become spiritual. Work will become spiritual to the degree that it is done with the proper consciousness. So that is basically turning everything into Brahman. Uh, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagano, Brahmanahutam. That person's the fire is Brahman, ladle is Brahman, Yajna is Brahman, Yagyakund is Brahman, Ahutis are Brahman. So I hope we have discussed this verse and you have understood it, what it means exactly. Uh, So now after this, Krishna, in the next section, he explains about other varieties of sacrifices. And finally, what is the process to achieve jnana and what is the result by jnana. So various kinds of sacrifices will be spoken from text number 25 to 33, and then 34 to 42, Krishna will speak about how to achieve this jnana and what is the result of this jnana. So these are the two sections. 25 to 42 is split into this manner. Various kinds of sacrifices and what is the process to achieve and the result of such jnana. That's it. So that is what is the remaining discussion. Okay. So we should be able to finish this now. So text 25. So we'll go ahead with our usual style. Uh, I will I will read and then one of you can read the translations for next 10 verses and one more devotee from 34 to 42 later. So anyone wants to volunteer, please do so. Daivameva pare yajnam yoginah paryupasate brahmagna pare yajnam yajne naivopa juhvati. Yes, who wants to read? Please go ahead.
Should I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu. Krishna Paraman Prabhu, right?
Vikram.
Oh, okay, Vikram Prabhu. Okay. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman.
So I just felt like the voice was like Krishna Paramanand. But then I realized, of course, he is already done Bhakti Shastri. He is not in the Bhakti Shastri batch. Okay, fine. Thank you. So other kind of sacrifices, different kind of sacrifices are mentioned now in the next 5-6 verses. So Daivam eva pare yajnam yoginah paryupasate. There are other Nishkam Karma yogis who offer the sacrifices which are Daivam, which are to the demigods, towards the demigods, various kinds of demigods. They offer the sacrifices. Brahmagna vapare yajnam yajne naivopajuhvati. and some offer the sacrifice into Brahmagni. So basically, this is Jnana Yajna. That's the point. So some of them offer sacrifices to Daiva Yajnas, some of them offer sacrifices, meaning they study Vedanta, Jnana Yajna, meaning they study Vedanta and all that, and they meditate on Brahman, and the entire effort they offer as a sacrifice to Brahman. Uh, so all different sort of sacrifices. Someone may do Varnashrama Dharma, someone may do some sort of particular sacrifice by offering, certain charity, or someone may do some sort of austerity, and that is his sacrifice. So all these different kinds of sacrifices Krishna will speak here. Prabhupada. All the different varieties of sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, uh, namely sacrifice of worldly possessions and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Dravyamaya yajna and Jnanamaya yajna or Jnana yajna. So some sacrifices involve utilizing worldly possessions and giving them away in sacrifice, and some are purely sacrifices which are for transcendental knowledge, which are for the sake of developing transcendental knowledge. So these two varieties will be explained by Krishna. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possessions for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord, while others who want some temporary material happiness sacrifice material possessions to satisfy demigods such as Indra, the sun god. So these Daivam Yajna, Daiva Yajna, these are the people who typically offer sacrifices to demigods such as Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and all that. Hmm. And they want to possess materiality, happiness, temporary material happiness. So you can say that these are the sacrifices which are offered with that kind of intention. While those who are impersonalist, their sacrifice is what they study Vedanta, they perform austerities, and they want to merge into impersonal Brahman. Uh, That's their sacrifice. So that is the second category. Brahmagna pare yajnam jajnenaivo pajuhvati. Like that. So their existence they want to use in Krishna's in as a sacrifice to Brahman, like that. You can see. For the impersonalists, the fire altar of sacrifice is the supreme Brahman, and the offering is the self being consumed by the fire of Brahman. So they offer themselves in the fire of Brahman. How do they offer themselves? Meaning by burning their body in the study of Vedanta, in the meditation, in the austerities, tapas that they perform. And why do they do that? What's the intention? I want to merge in Brahman. I want moksha. Like that, their purpose is. So Krishna conscious devotee, he is neither of them, uh, nor that he is performing some sacrifices to the demigods, nor that he is burning his body for the sake of merging in Brahman. No. So we want to utilize all our energy to please Krishna. Hmm. So that is a sacrifice for pleasure of Krishna. So entire life, all energies, manasa deha geha jo kichu mor, arpilu tuwa pade nanda kishore. So he wants to offer everything in Krishna's service, like that. So that's that sacrifice. That is also, Brahmagno, Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam. But in that case, the Brahma, it is Krishna basically, like that. It is instead of achieving Brahman, a devotee achieves Krishna, Krishna's Loka, Krishna's planet. So that's the point. So all these different sacrifices are described. Shrotraadinendriyanyanye संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन विषयानन्य इंद्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति. Yes.
Some,
Go ahead.
the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice hearing, process, and the sense in the fire of mental control. And others, regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the sense in the fire of the senses.
Yeah. So while talking about different kind of sacrifices, Krishna also makes a distinction between Naishthika brahmacharis and the householders, where the way they are sacrificing is different. Their process of sacrifice is different, like that. Like this is in a typical method of varnashrama and typical practice of jnana. So Shrotradin Indriyan Anye Sanyam Agnishu Juhvati. The fire for a Naishthika brahmachari, Naishthika. So Naishthika brahmachari and Upakurvana brahmachari. There are two terms you must have heard. Naishthika. So is one who he joins the Gurukula, but after his training is done in Gurukula, he never leaves the Gurukula. He continues to stay there all the way till he wants to take sannyas. So that is called a Naishthika Brahmachari, and he never ever indulges into any married life or any sort of sensual relationship or anything like that. So a Naishthika is one practically one who is basically has never indulged into any sort of sensual satisfaction, that kind of thing. One who has never lost his vital fluid, Naishthika. So that point is that it's basically there is a fire which is spoken about him, and that's the fire of Sanyama. Sanyama Agnishu Juhvati. So what is he doing? The fire, the sacrificial fire that he has is of the Sanyama, which means it is of the sense restraint. And he puts all his senses in that fire of sense restraint. Uh, Meaning what? Basically, he does not indulge his senses with the sense objects. The fire of Sanyama is there, the fire of sense restraint. So he utilizes his ears, his tongue, and his nose, and all these jnanendriyas only for serving Krishna, only to fulfill the desire of the Guru, not for some worldly duties or mundane sort of aspects of sense gratification. So Shrotradin Indriyani Anye, and this Anye, the others, is referring to Naishthika brahmacharis, who they utilize their ears and their nose and their tongue and their in doing activities which are only Krishna conscious. I mean, that's what should be there. In Kali Yuga, everybody is fallen. Grihastha is fallen, Brahmachari is fallen, renounced order is also fallen in a certain way. The standard falls for everyone practically. Otherwise, yes, the standard is that, yes, apart from the pleasure of the Guru and pleasure of Krishna, a Naishthika, a sincere brahmachari should not utilize his senses for any sort of sense gratification or anything like that, especially in the mundane aspects. Speaking something mundane, hearing something mundane, tasting something mundane, or yes, any sort of material enjoyment aspect. No. So that is called as burning one's senses in the fire of sense restraint. Hmm. Now, for a grahastha, the fire is said to be what? The fire of the senses, not the sense restraint. It's the fire of the senses. And in that sense, the fire of the senses, he puts the sense objects, which means that he is allowed to have a certain contact with sense and sense objects. The senses can contact the sense objects as long as it is approved by that particular ashram, like that. So there is a certain level of uh, you could say sense gratification available, and that is only for the sake of performing dharma. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Krishna also says that actually I am that sex life which is not contrary to the religious principles. Then that is perfectly dharmic. That is perfectly fine. Uh, so that's why for a householder, the sacrifice is said to be the sacrifice of senses, and in that one puts the sense objects as the ahuti. So you can just understand the quintessential point here is that one ashram is for sense restraint, while another ashram is for restricted sense acceptance or sense gratification. Just a minute. Getting some disturbance by this WhatsApp window. Okay. All right. So that's the meaning of this verse, you can see. So Prabhupada now, you can see. The brahmacharis or students under the care of a bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. A brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness. That's it. Meaning he should not give time or energy or given to anything that which is not Krishna conscious, which is mundane, because that's not the life. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasan, uh, Vasandanto Guror Hitam. He is the one who is 24 hour engaged in activities that are for service of his Guru, like that. So he restrains himself, Prabhupada is saying. He restrains himself from the vibrations of material sound, and his hearing is engaged in transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Now, for householders also, this is the same standard, but they are allowed a certain level of acceptance of mundane sound vibration or like that because they're working outside in the world. So obviously, you have to hear some mundane sound vibration, earn money. So it has its own complications also this way. Aspect like marriage and all, it is also for getting Krishna conscious progeny, by which we see that the married life, it would be a very successful Krishna conscious family's example this way. So that is the point over here, these two aspects. Now, in Krishna consciousness, practically, we see this is like traditional Varnashrama, but in Krishna consciousness, we see that both the ashramas actually they are supposed to serve Krishna, isn't it? Both the ashramas have this aspect of serving Krishna. So, whether grahasthas or brahmacharis, they have their appropriate rules and regulations for ashram, but finally the purpose is serving Krishna, service to Krishna. So that's how in Krishna consciousness ashramas don't so much matter. One's absorption in Krishna is what that matters more, like that. So if one's absorption in Krishna is there, then one can achieve perfection in any ashram. Uh, it is irrespective of ashram there, this way. But the principle holds true that a certain level of sense gratification is allowed, so that because that's what the particular ashram is, this way. So one has to be aware of those limitations and accordingly accept the privileges or whatever it is, like that. So as a brahmachari, one should stay away from the uh, privileges and sort of associations that are not supposed to be there for brahmachari. Only for service sake, he may have some dealings with the opposite sex or like that. But otherwise, apart from that, no extra dealings like that. And that should also be kept as minimum as possible, as much needed as possible. So that will allow him to keep the purity of brahmacharya. Uh, and same way with grahasthas, that they also understand that grahasthashram is not a license to just sort of mix freely with everyone with other Matajis or women or like that. No, it's like apart from one's own wife, he sees every other woman as mother. Matravat paradareshu, like that. Paradravyeshu loshtravat. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu yah pashyati sapandita. Chanakya says so. So that's how these aspects of appropriate ashram, having appropriate sort of dealings, they are very important for all of us as a devotee who is trying to set a good example. Prabhupada would say, our devotees should be perfect ladies and gentlemen in terms of especially following those appropriate levels of conduct. So, two kinds of sacrifice in this way you can see the fire of sense restraint and the fire of restricted sense indulgence, which is also at the level of dharma. So, those are two kinds of sacrifices. Sarvani indriya karmani, prana karmani chapare, atma sanyama yogagnau, juhvati jnanati pite. Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind.
Yes. So sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani chapare. So there are these other yogis who offer all their senses, all the functions of the senses, the pranas, and everything in the control of the self. These are other kinds of yogis now. They offer all the life breath and everything in the fire of the controlled mind. Atma Sanyama Yogagna. So these are the yogis who, follow this process of pranayam and all that. And by that process, they want to offer, their mind, their senses and their mind and all in the fire of restraint. These are also typically those who want to merge into Brahman. So they are the ones which also by controlling their mind and senses through processes of yama, niyama, asana, pranayam and all that, they want to achieve Brahman. Yoga process actually, a lot of yogis, they desire to attain Brahman. And some yogis, they want to achieve Paramatma and you could say service to Paramatma, like Shantarasa, like that. But usually yoga path is actually for achieving Brahman. Now, Prabhupada does speak about yogis, they want to attain Paramatma. So that is perfect only because yogi means you have to attain Paramatma. But after you attain Paramatma, what is the goal that you want post death, after you die? So typically, after attaining Paramatma, they want to attain merging in Brahman only. So Paramatma, attaining Paramatma realization is the perfection of the process. But what's the fruit of the process? Typically, the fruit of the yogi process, the yogis want is merging in Brahman. Like that. So you accomplish the process by the realization of Paramatma. Like this is explained in Kapila Muni section in third canto. But then still they want to merge in Brahman only. So very few fortunate yogis are there who actually realize Paramatma and then they want to serve Paramatma. They want to meditate on him. They want to eternally, meditate on him. So those are the people who actually attain Shantarati, Shantaras, this way. So anyhow, so Prabhupada speaks about Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. The soul is called Pratyagatma and Paragatma. So these are two terms that Patanjali uses. So Paragatma is a soul or spirit soul or a person who is running outward, who is running towards sense enjoyment. And Pratyagatma is someone who is going or running towards self-realization, inward. Pratyagatma. Paragatma is outward. This way. So they want to come from the level of Paragatma to Pratyagatma. This way. So for that they practice this yama, niyama, asana, hmm, asana, and then pranayam, right? So pranayam has a great aspect also. So those aspects will be said in the next verse. There is Rechaka, there is Kumbhaka, there is Puraka. Uh, 10 kinds of pranas are there in our body, out of which 5 are very main. Vyan, Saman, Udan, Apan, Pran. These are main. And there is also Naga, Kurma, Dhananjaya, and other 5 more. So these 10 airs within our body, they want to control by what happens is by controlling these airs, no, then the mind becomes controlled, because mind is very much influenced by the airs within the body. But still, it's a mechanical process because even if somebody manages airs of the body through some pranayam, but still, if the mind does not have a higher taste, then it will fall. No, it will not. So that's the understanding of Krishna consciousness that you have to give the higher taste. Param drishtva nivartate. Otherwise, mind may be peaceful for some time, but in the absence of any higher engagement, it has to go for lower engagement. Uh, So that's why managing this pranayam and everything, but still we see that those yogis sometimes they fall prey to uh, yes, the sense gratification. Even we see that happened with Vishwamitra also. He was performing Ashtanga Yoga with great determination, but one time he uh, fell to the charms of Rambha, and another time, like first time to Menaka, then second time to Rambha, then third time he also became proud when Trishanku came to him. So he was falling prey to those vices. So finally he took to Hari Bhakti, and then he became the great Brahmarshi. He became the great Vishwamitra. So that's how we see that these things are there. Furthermore, Dravya Yajnas, Tapo Yajna, Yoga Yajnas, Tatha Pare, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnascha, Yataya Samshita Vrataha.
Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrifice their possessions, and others by performing several austerities. By practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in the transcendental knowledge.
Yeah. So some more sacrifices, various kinds of sacrifices we are discussing. Dravya Yajna. So there are those who perform the Dravya Yajna, meaning they give great, huge things in charity, a huge amount of grains or huge amount of clothes, huge amount of whatnot, a number of things they can give. Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, those who perform great kind of tapasya like Chandrayana Vrata or Chaturmasya Vrata or various other kinds of vratas are there. They perform tapasya, severe tapa, Panchagni tapa, and like that they perform yoga yajna, the yoga aspect, Ashtanga yoga we spoke. Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha, those who perform Swadhyaya Yajna, which is studying of the Vedas, taking some Parayanas of certain section of the Vedas, some Samhita, and they will chant it 108 times, some certain Samhita, Rig Samhita or Yaju Samhita, or like that, some Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, or they would take some section of Upanishads and then they would have some Vedanta Jnana Yajna or like that. Uh, Yatayaha Samshita Vrata. So oftentimes these are yatis, these are sannyasis, enlightened persons, and they take very strict vows. Prabhupada. So Dravya Yajna, you see. The rich mercantile community or princely orders open various kinds of charitable institutions like Dharmashala, Annakshetra, Athithi Shala, Anathalaya, and Vidyapitha. Huh? You must have seen these people, right? This particular Samaj Dharmashala, uh, that Samaj Dharmashala, or Annakshetra from some Marwadi Samaj Annakshetra or some um, Sanodiya Brahmana Nakshetra, Atithi Shalas, Anathalaya, very so many things, Vidyapithas they run. So all these are Dravya Yajna, where they offer the resources that they have. Many people also offer food, right? Uh, Many kinds of bhandara, they call it in the North India, uh, or there are langars and all where they want to offer also huge quantities of food for the people and all. So these are sort of dravya yajna, provided they are at least offering pure things. Sometimes people in the name of dravya yajna, they may be offering some undesirable things like some non-vegetarian food or some intoxicants or like that. That is not dravya yajna. They should also know. See, this is also one thing, people have to be educated. Sometimes they want to offer some food and all, but they don't know what to offer. They will say, Prasad hai, lijiye Maharaj. Like we also here are in Govardhan. So many times they will come to us and they'll say, Maharaj, Prasad hai, lijiye. So then I just asked, who made this Prasad? नहीं हम लोगों ने किया करके. So I said, so this has onion garlic, no? I mean, I asked like that, as if I was asking for, does it have onion garlic? So he said, हाँ एकदम जम के डाला है. प्याज लहसुन बढ़िया से है, आप लीजिए. So I thought, I mean, I had never any intention of taking. Obviously, we don't take anything outside. Even if it is Govardhan Bhandara and all, we don't take outside food, anything. Usually we avoid. Absolutely. We don't want to take anything outside because we don't know the standard. Although it is dham, but still we don't know the standard. Because so you can see that this was a bhandara, but they didn't know that you can't put onion and garlic in a food that is to be offered to Giriraj. They're just not knowing anything. So everybody's taking it as prasad or like that, which is okay. At least at some level they're giving food, so they will get some benefit, no doubt. But it's not prasadam, no. It is not at all prasadam. So there has to be also some standard of knowledge that, okay, what is prasad, what is not prasad, how the dana should become. Without knowledge, if you give charity, that is called tamasic danam. It is basically dana which is tamasic, uh, like that. So there is no proper understanding of what is to be given, whom it is to be given that way. So Dravyamaya Yajna, fine. Uh, So on one hand, we appreciate anyone who has a selfless nature of giving, but on other hand, the aspect of knowledge is also needed, no? If you really want to help people, then you do it in a way that will help people, not just like that, this way. So that is the point. There are others who, for higher elevation in life or promotion to higher planets, they take up the austerities. Okay. Yes. So they voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities such as Chandrayana and Chaturmasya. So some vratas like that they are talked about in Shastra. Chandrayana vrata or Chaturmasya vrata. Of course, this Chaturmasya is not the way we do. There is elaborate Chaturmasya vrata where so many things are told. What all things are not to be eaten for all 4 months, and then one does not shave his head or face or like that. So all those aspects, there are particular aspects of also taking bath and all only by the cold water, and multiple things, Chaturmasya Vrata. But then at the end of which there are a lot of material benefits also talked about. So very rigid rules, but the purpose may not be actually pleasure of Krishna or like that, but it is some sort of piety. So these sort of sacrifices. Such sacrifice of comforts of life is called tapomaya yajna. And then there is yoga yajna we talked about, Ashtanga yoga. Then there is swadhyaya yajna, which is the study of Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads, and all that. But Krishna consciousness, finally, Prabhupada, Krishna consciousness, however, is different from this because it is the direct service of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna consciousness is certainly very special because it is directly serving the Supreme Lord, right? It is not indirect service like this. It is not some intermediate kind of goal. It is the ultimate goal, service to Krishna. Otherwise, these processes are like intermediate goals. They are not addressing the highest point. Some want to serve the people. So it's a very sort of intermediate goal. No, it's not the highest. They just want to serve the people. Others, they want to get some higher planets or go to some further uh, celestial planets and all that. Yet others want to merge in Brahman. Uh, but Krishna, his devotees, they want to serve him. Krishna Priti, that's the aspect, and that's highest. So these yogis, how they control their, especially again, Krishna speaks about those yoga yagya people. Apane juhvati pranam prane panam tatha pare pranapana gati rudhva pranayama parayanah apare niyatahara pranan praneshu juhvati. Yes, Prabhu.
Still others are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in the trance. Practice by offering the movement of outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice.
Yeah. So there is apana, vyana, samana, udana, prana, and all of them have different functions. So they want to control these airs uh, through puraka, kumbhaka, rechaka. Some of you who do pranayama may be aware of these things. How do you do rechaka, then puraka? Hold the breath, kumbhaka, like that. So purpose is what? Again, pacify the mind, bring the mind under control. Hmm. It's a mechanical way of calming down the mind this way. Once mind is calmed down, then you can focus on further aspect of yoga like meditating on Paramatma, which begins at the level of dharana. We will talk about this in chapter 6. Uh, till pratyahar, it's about the controlling the mind. At the level of dharana, then the positive process of meditation begins. Then there is dhyana and then samadhi finally. So the purpose is that. Apare niyatahara. There are others who what do they do? Niyatahara. They what is their sacrifice? Their sacrifice is they cut down the eating. Frugal eaters. They don't eat what is how much is desired by the body. So they deliberately cut down a lot their eating. That's their tapas. That's their, you could say, sacrifice. Uh, so niyatahara, by controlling this eating process, so they also, you see, they weaken the senses so that the mind and senses, it will not think about sense enjoyment, right? You see, when the mind and senses are very strong, then they want the sense enjoyment. Uh, isn't it? If they have become very weak, then they forget the sense enjoyment. Uh, we experienced this on the day of uh, this Ekadashi, Bhima Ekadashi or Nirjala Ekadashi's fasting, right? You fast for 32 hours or so, then the senses become like so dull, right? One, one feels like I just want food, food, nothing but food. That's all they want. They don't want anything else. Some food, if I can get somewhere this way. So the idea here is you make the senses very weak by not giving enough food. So they will give up the desire for sense gratification this way. Otherwise, strong senses means they want strong sense gratification. Of course, we are not saying that we sort of support this sort of idea. The point is this, that it's a fact that, like Prabhupada will speak in the purport, we will see. Some application is there in our case also as devotees. But these are some different people whose main goal is to calm down the mind and senses so that they can practice this yoga and all that. So that's why they are being spoken. So, yes, exhaling, inhaling, controlling all that. Prabhupada speaks about kumbhaka, rechaka. You can, you know these terms, or you can read here. Yes. A Krishna conscious person, however, being always situated in transcendental loving service of Lord, automatically becomes the controller of the senses. So for Bhakta, it is very easy, whatever pleases Krishna or Guru, that he will do. If it does not please, he will not do. Uh, so that way, you exercise control over the mind and the senses. Will this please Krishna? Even when we are alone, we are around, I mean, no one is around us, no. This question we should ask, that will this act please Krishna, and will this act please Guru? So that's why a devotee is never alone, because he feels that his Guru is always watching him, or Lord is always watching. Uh, so if Lord is watching, will he be happy with me if I do such a thing? Like whatever it could be, I criticize someone, I do gossip about someone, uh, I offend a devotee, or I speak about sense gratification, or this, that, and number of things could be. So the point is that if there is a very strong sense of belongingness, no, then we will not want to displease that person. This is a very profound principle. If you have a very strong sense of belonging to Guru or to your Shiksha Guru, to some devotee whom you revere in your life, then you will also have a great responsible attitude, because you will not want to displease them. uh, and that will help you to control the mind and the senses. Uh, to the degree we are attached to the devotees, superiors, especially advanced devotees who are guiding us, to that degree, you see, it will be easy to, go against our lower nature, like that. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmanah kavayo viduhu sayeva sadhu shukruto mokshadvaram apavritam. Kapila Muni said to his mother Devahuti, my dear mother, prasangam ajaram pasham. The attachment to the material things, it's like a ajara pash. Uh, it's like, you could say, a very great knot, which actually does not loosen by the passage of time. It becomes more and more tightened. Uh, a jaram, it does not grow old. Like in this world, everything grows old by the passage of time, no? You have some, huge, very strong rope. If a lot of time passes, many years, then that rope starts becoming weak. That is called jaram. But it is amazing, material attachment is ajaram. Material attachment with passage of time becomes stronger, even stronger. So time weakens everything except the material desires or material attachments. That it is not able to weaken. It is amazing. So that's why, what is the way to weaken that material attachment? Kapila says, Saeva sadhu shukruto. But that same prasanga, that same attachment, if you put into sadhus, moksha dwaram apavritam, it will open up the door for liberation. And liberation meaning going back home, back to God. So, especially in Grihastashram, these two aspects. One is about the great attachment to sadhus, uh, and second aspect is about a good sadhana. That those are like very important aspects. They are important for everyone, but especially in Grihastashram, the service aspect it is mentioned. One may not be able to do very huge service because there is limited time only. No, not much time is there. So, how much service can one render? Uh, One may not be able to render service as much as a person who is 24 hours giving for Krishna is able to give, render. So that is okay. Uh, Still, we see that in ISKCON, the Grihasthas, they render so much service. Whatever little time they have apart from their job, they spend every moment of that time in Krishna's service. That way, right? So, but then these two aspects, especially the sadhana aspect, having a very good sadhana, because that is something which we have to do, right? So why not do it in the best possible way? We have to chant 16 rounds. We have to attend Mangalarti. We have to worship the deities. So why not do it in the best possible way? By doing it early in the morning, by arranging our life in such a way that we get up early in the morning and we are able to give the priority time. So this is one aspect, and the second aspect is about having a strong attachment to the sadhus, to the devotees who are detached from the world, who are actually giving their time for exclusive Krishna consciousness, because that will also uh, keep our focus on Krishna consciousness. Because we will always see an example where 100% time is being given for Krishna. So then that will sort of push us that I should also uh, eventually come to this level where I'm giving almost complete time for Krishna's service. So that sort of ideal will remain in our life if we are attached to the sadhus. Otherwise, we see that then that ideal won't be there. And then nature of material world is we feel like, okay, everything is fine. This is also fine. Everything is fine. I'm fine. Uh, I'm doing a lot that way. But if you see always at the examples who are even doing better, so we would want to also progress. That's the key for everyone, whether renounced order of life, whether grahastha, nobody. I mean, it's for everyone. This key is there. You always look at the people who are doing more than us. So then we feel inspired. Yes, actually, that there are people who are doing so much. I should also strive to do more that way. So that's Krishna consciousness. So this aspect Prabhupada is also bringing here. Okay, so these are like various kinds of sacrifices. Finally, Krishna is concluding by saying that all these people who do this sort of sacrifices, eventually, if they get purified through this process, so they will be able to come to the level of jnana. If they have a bona fide process, and if they go through that gradual aspect of purification, these sacrifices should then eventually lead to the aspect of jnana. Meaning what? They should come to the level where they become freed from attachments and they identify themselves as Atma. That's called purification. Purification means your bodily consciousness goes away and you start identifying yourself as Atma if it is jnana path. If it is bhakti path, you start identifying yourself as Krishna. That's purification. From desire to enjoy to desire to serve. That's a basic definition of purification. भोग की इच्छा से सेवा की इच्छा में बदलाव, इसको शुद्धिकरण कहते हैं. That's purification, like that. सर्वेप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञक्षपितकल्मषाः यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजो यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम. Yes.
All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere.
Thank you. So, if they are doing the proper sacrifice, which is approved, which is not concocted, and they know the meaning of the sacrifice, so this sacrifices should purify them and eventually guide them to the proper result of the sacrifice, so that they can yanti brahma sanatanam, they can come to the level where they realize that they are not the body, they are the spirit soul, and they in this way have that Brahman realization, that aspect. See, Brahman realization means you can always understand. Brahman realization means basically understanding that I am spirit soul. That is called Brahman realization. So with that, the understanding that there is Brahman and that there is Brahma, and that Brahma is transcendental, that is a concomitant factor. It goes together. So basically, self-realization is called as Brahman realization. That's the aspect. Paramatma and Bhagwan, that is a higher thing, a further higher thing. But otherwise, आत्म साक्षात्कार मतलब ब्रह्म साक्षात्कार, दोनों एक ही समानार्थक माने जाते हैं दोनों. लेकिन परमात्मा का और भगवान का साक्षात्कार ये ऊपर की चीज है. इसमें व्यक्ति को और आगे बढ़ना पड़ता है, तभी फिर ये साक्षात्कार मिलेंगे. This way. So that is the point. These all sacrifices, if they are done with a proper understanding and with proper process, then they should lead to this sort of final understanding about that how I am not the body, I am spirit soul. Yanti Brahma Sanatan. So actually, the point is Krishna is talking about the sacrifices, right? So he says that without sacrifices, there is no pleasure in this world, what to speak of other. So one has to do the sacrifice, one has to lead a life of sacrifice. So either of these sacrifices, as a devotee, we lead the life also of sacrifice, sacrificing everything for Krishna's pleasure. It is also yajna. So without yajna, what can you expect in this life? If you just want to lead a life which is for sense gratification, then what can one accomplish? That's what Krishna says in this half a verse. This is called ardhakam in Sanskrit. Ardhakam. It's only half a verse. It's not a complete verse. Padya. Nayam lokostya yajnasya kutonya kuru sattama. Yes, Prabhu, go ahead. Vikram Prabhu, you have to read till
O
33.
best of the Kuru dynasty. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next?
Yeah.
31.
Thank you. So you can see ayajnasya nayam loka. Ayagya. अयज्ञ मतलब जो यज्ञ नहीं करता है. One who is not doing yajna, meaning one who is not leading a life which is a yajna. It doesn't mean necessarily that swaha, that yajna. अयज्ञस्य अयम लोक न, अयज्ञ व्यक्ति के लिए तो ये लोक भी प्राप्त नहीं होगा, तो अन्य लोक की क्या बात करे, ऐसे कृष्ण कह रहे हैं। तो अयज्ञ किसे कहेंगे? जो यज्ञ के रूप में अपना जीवन नहीं निभा रहा, दैट इज अयज्ञ, like this. So even in this life you will not be happy if you are not performing yajna. What to speak of next life? Uh, this is the point, right? So this was all discussed in prior sections also. Those karmakandi sacrifices and all, they give you the resources to stay in this world nicely. And the transcendental sacrifices, transcendental processes like Nishkam Karma Yoga or processes like Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, they give you a transcendental goal. Uh, they give you the goal beyond the material world. So that's how these sacrifices are meant to be. So don't consider sacrifice means only, that Yajna Kunda around which four kinds of priests are sitting, Hota, Udgata, Brahma, Advaryu, and they're doing Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. No. Sacrifice can mean all these yagyas. You saw Dravyamaya Yagya, Tapo Yagya, Yoga Yagya, Swadhyaya Yagya, Dhyana Yagya. Similarly, Bhakti itself is also Yagya. So many types. This way. Prabhupada. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in the material existence. Right? So that's it. Why does one suffer in the world? He suffers because of sin. Why does one commit sin? Because of the ignorance. अज्ञान की वजह से व्यक्ति पाप करता है, पाप की वजह से व्यक्ति दुख में पड़ता है, और ऐसा दुख जो है वो उसके संसार को, हम लोग देखते हैं कि संसार जो है क्रमिक रूप से चलता रहता है, लाइक दैट. सो दैट्स व्हाई jnana is very important, that one understands that what is papa, what is punya, how to come out of that aspect, very, very important. So in the aspect of sacrifices, we see that eventually one should come to this understanding of how one is not the body, one is spirit, soul, and lead a life which is free from sinful life. This way. If a person is not inclined to perform yajna according to the Vedas, how can he expect a happy life even in this body? And what to speak of another body on another planet? So it was discussed. Evam bahuvida yajna vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam jnatva vimokshase. Yes, Prabhu.
The Prabhuji, 1 minute.
No problem. Just
All these different types of sacrifices are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them, such as you will become liberated.
yeah. So all these bahuvida yajna, all these different types of sacrifice, vitata brahmano mukhe, they are all spread or they are all spoken into the mouth of the Brahman, the mouth of the Brahma. What is that actually? That is Veda. Here, ब्रह्मणों मुखे वितता, ये सारे यज्ञ जो है वो वेदों में बोले गए हैं, ऐसा अर्थ है उसका. दैट्स इट. वितता ब्रह्मणों मुखे कर्मजान विद्धितान सर्वान एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्षसे. So you should know this, that all these sacrifices, they are born out of a certain karma, in the sense that certain varna, certain ashrama, there are certain sacrifices which are prescribed. You remember that yajnadat karmanonyatra, not that. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. Yajnas, they are born by the aspect of karma. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi, brahmakshara samudbhavam. Krishna said that in the 3rd chapter. So the point is, the karma meaning one's position of varna, ashram, and all that, accordingly, what is prescribed. So, this is all prescribed in the Vedas. Who should do what sort of sacrifices? So, there are different sacrifices depending on different varnashrama duties and all that. So, if one knows them and accordingly performs them, evam jnatva vimokshase, such a person will become liberated. Finally, Krishna is concluding which one is the highest sacrifice. Shreyan dravyamaya yajnat jnana yajnaha parantapa sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. Yes, Prabhu.
O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge.
Yeah, yes. So, Shreyan Dravyamayan Yagyat, द्रव्यमय यज्ञ से बेहतर है ज्ञान यज्ञ. So, Jnana Yajna is being pronounced as the highest of all because all these other aspects of Dravyamaya Yajna, you remember it was what? It was basically giving some things in charity, giving people food, clothing, this, that. Uh, so from all those sort of sacrifices, or somebody may be performing some Chandrayan Vrata, this, that, highest is considered to be Jnana Yajna. Why Jnana Yajna? Because the sacrifice in which one comes to a transcendental level, one realizes that I am not body, I am spirit, soul. So at that level, then we see that if one starts living a life like that, then all papa karma, punya karma, everything will be destroyed. Not only papa phalam gets destroyed, punya phalam also gets destroyed. Sarva karma khilam. सारा कर्म खत्म हो जाता है उधर. So then only prarabdha will remain. All aprarabdha will be gone. Uh, so one becomes a clean slate. Uh, Otherwise, if somebody is doing this dravyamaya yajna and all, it will also produce some sort of punya. And punya means you have to come back in the material world. So that's why jnana yajna is being glorified because it will not produce any karma. Of course, you understand bhakti yajna is even higher than jnana yajna. Or you can put Bhakti Yoga also as one of the categories within this Jnana Yajna. It's the best Jnana Yajna in one way, you can see. Why? Because Bhakti Yoga destroys the complete karma, including even it can destroy Prarabdha also. So that's why Krishna is saying Jnana Yajna as the highest. So we don't have to feel like, अरे ज्ञान यज्ञ कैसे highest हो गया. So in this context, he is comparing it with the sacrifices which will lead to punya. तो पुण्य से अच्छा तो ऐसा sacrifice है ना, ज्ञान यज्ञ, where there is no papa punya generated. It is a karma. So that's the point. So that's why this can also include the aspect of bhakti. This jnana is not just impersonal jnana or like that. This is also jnana of Paramatma and like that, because you know that this aspect without Paramatma's knowledge, actually, they can never go to Brahman also. Everybody has to have the knowledge of Krishna and Krishna's personality, Paramatma's personality. Then only you can attain this. So, point is simple. Basically, what you can understand from this verse is transcendental sacrifice is the highest. Okay, worldly sacrifice, it is appreciable. We can appreciate that at a level. People are giving food, clothing, shelter, some other things. Yes, it's a good thing. We appreciate their charitable nature. But yeah, finally that will generate some sort of punya, no? And that punya will keep one in the material world. Because Krishna is speaking about a very high aspect of going beyond the bondage. So that's why he says that Jnana Yajna is the highest. That way. The purpose of all sacrifices to arrive at the status of complete knowledge. So this knowledge means, I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. The goal of life is the Supreme Lord. All these aspects, that's the knowledge. तो बाकी फिर कितने भी sacrifices करो, लेकिन अगर ये ऐसा ज्ञान नहीं आ रहा है, one is not coming to that conclusion, then it is considered to be sort of incomplete. It is at material level. So that's how the sacrifices should be at the Jnana Yajna level, transcendental. So that's why you must have seen sometimes, right? Even this, when there are kathas and all, they will say Srimad Bhagavata Kathas Dhyana Yajna. So it's like a transcendental sacrifice of the knowledge of Bhagavatam, Gita Jnana Yajna, or like that. We don't have to assume that these are Mayavadis or like that. Sometimes our devotees, seeing that word Jnana Yajna, they think these are all Mayavadis. Not like that. They, it's a bona fide Jnana Yajna. That's it. It is a Bhagavad Jnana Yajna sacrifice, you could say. So, like that. Okay. So that completes this section of different kinds of sacrifices and which one is the highest in that. So now after this is the last section where how to get this jnana and what is the result of this jnana. So we'll see these 9 verses, but before that, is there any question on what we discussed till now? Yes. If you have any question, you may ask. No question? All right, let's go ahead. तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Okay. Anyone else now? Someone else can volunteer to read.
Prabhuji, can I try?
Yeah, why not?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. So very
Thank you, sir.
important words from Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhu, you continue now reading next all the verses translation as and when I tell you to read. Okay?
Sure,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
So very important verse, how to get the transcendental knowledge. So note this verse because it is one of the most important verses of Gita. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. This is the way to get transcendental knowledge. So tadvidhi, Krishna is saying that tad means the jnanam. Jnanam from the last verse that Krishna talked about. So that jnana, how to get that transcendental knowledge, 3 characteristics have been mentioned. Pranipatena, pariprashnena, and sevaya. And these are like extremely important qualities. So even in our bhakti process, these 3 characteristics are important. These are like universally needed if you want to get transcendental knowledge on any path. Whether it is path of bhakti, path of jnana, or path of yoga. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So, upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Those jnanis are greatly advanced souls, those who are tattvadarshina, those who have seen the truth, they will give you the knowledge if you have these 3 characteristics. Pranipata, Pariprashna, and Sevaya. So you see, what does this mean? Pranipata, literally nipata. Nipata means, you keep some danda, right? So it falls like this. So pranipata, meaning in front of the great devotee, advanced devotee, you fall like a danda. Prakrishta rupena nipata, meaning you don't fall like that danda just because you want to accomplish something from them. No, you have actually internal submission. Uh, Sometimes we bow down to someone, but we don't like that person, or we may have some sort of tussle with him or her, whatever. So that's not called pranipat actually. Uh, one may be just doing some external duty by bowing down. But pranipata has the aspect of that internal submission. One is like so happy to bow down and fall at the feet of a devotee because one really feels that one will immensely gain by the association of such Vaishnava. So genuinely we are submissive. We are not just externally submissive. We are internally submissive also. That is pranipat. Pariprashna is the aspect where one is asking about the inquiry, asking about the knowledge of Krishna consciousness process in a very, in a very, you could say, proper way, in a way that those questions are also very genuine and one is also asking them in a submissive spirit. Uh, that's called a pariprashna. हाँ, वो प्रश्न भी ठीक होने चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं पागल की तरह कुछ भी पूछ रहे हैं. हाँ. या फिर ऐसे नहीं कि प्रश्न तो पूछ रहा है लेकिन इतना चुनौतीपूर्ण प्रकार से पूछ रहा है कि वो तो ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे झगड़ा कर रहा है वो. हाँ. तो उसको नहीं बोलते परिप्रश्न. एंड सेवया. सो इस सबके साथ में सेवा भी होनी चाहिए. इट्स नॉट दैट यू आस्क ओनली क्वेश्चंस, but we also render some service. We want to render service to the great souls, spiritual master, or some great advanced devotees. If we get some opportunity, so we should, especially to spiritual masters, we want to render service always. In various ways, we can render the service. By following their instructions, that is one service we should always do. Sevaya, it need not mean just personally serving, but it means following their instructions, submitting to the authorities that they have given us. If Guru wants that, okay, you please follow that local authority. And you want to say that, no, 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 Guru, I want to follow you, not the local authority. But he is only telling you to follow local authority. Then you follow the local authority, right? So sometimes that seva aspect may not be very clear to people. People feel like seva means only personal seva of Guru. No. Vani seva. We follow Guru's instructions and we are happy to serve in the way that he wants us to serve. So that can mean also that he wants us to serve the local authorities, whoever are there. So Pranipata, Pariprashna, Seva, these three aspects are being spoken here. So submission, inquisitiveness, and service attitude. Submission, inquisitiveness, and service attitude. SIS. So this you can remember. So submissiveness, it allows us that the spiritual master can show the way. Inquiries can allow us to understand the way. And seva will allow us to walk the way. You understand? Again, I will repeat. Submission, if we are submissive, no, then Guru or the superior devotees, they will show us the way. If you're not submissive, why they will show the way? Because you don't want to see only. You're not submissive, whatever. Like sometimes some devotees are there, like, When you start telling them, no, Prabhu, they will not hear only. No, I know, Prabhuji, I understand. I didn't know you don't understand. No, but he will not allow to speak only, right? Sometimes even some people, they ask questions, and as soon as you start answering, no, Prabhu, what my, you allow, now you spoke the question, right? So you allow me to speak. No, my point was this. So, not like that. So submission is needed so that people can guide us. You understand? If we are not submissive, people will not be able to show us the way. Now, if someone shows us the way, we may have some questions about that. They are handled by pariprashna. Then we can ask, we can clarify, we can try to understand. Certain instructions are given to us. We can try to understand how to execute them, how to do them. And sevaya, and the service attitude will actually make us walk on that aspect. Sevaya. Now that guru or the superior has instructed certain thing, so if you have seva bhav, फिर आप उसको करना चाहेंगे. नहीं तो फिर वो क्या है, बस वो सुन लिया, हाँ हाँ करना चाहिए, लेकिन कभी किया ही नहीं. Because you lack service attitude. So we understand. So that's how these three aspects are needed this way. And if these three aspects are there, then upadekshanti te jnanam, then the great souls will be able to instruct us and show us the way how to proceed, and we will be able to make advancement like that. So Prabhupada writes, very beautiful purport. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. Spiritual realization path, it's not like it's a very just a simple thing, easy thing. No, it's undoubtedly difficult because many times we may not understand certain things. We have to have the faith. We are already doing something which the world thinks that we are going in opposite direction. So the Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession. So to go against our mind and senses and try to engage ourselves in service of Guru and Gauranga, it is not that difficult. I mean, it's not that easy because mind gives a lot of trouble. Sometimes we may feel like, अरे ये भक्तों के लिए कितना समय देना पड़ता है मुझे. If only I was not in association. मुझे इतना समय नहीं देना पड़ता था. I have to do this also, chant my rounds, and then go for programs, then render service one after another, this festival, that festival. ये रुकता ही नहीं है कभी. Right? So one's mind may start cribbing like that, giving trouble like that. But if we are in a good association, if we are having people to talk to, so then we see that the mind can be made to understand and pacified. It can be like that. So this is the point. So we need guidance. That's my point in spiritual life. We should not feel like I don't need guidance. I can handle. My way is highway, like that. But on such highway, there will be terrible accidents. My way is highway, and then I end up having accidents like that. That's the second part of it. So that's why it's good that we have guidance in our spiritual life. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation, they cannot lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. और ऐसे भी नहीं कि बुक्स है मैं पढ़ के मैं आगे बढ़ूंगा करके नहीं. That knowledge which is there in scriptures, if we don't have service attitude, it will not get revealed. It will just remain theoretical. It will not become atmasat. It will not be revealed in our heart. So that knowledge remains just theoretical. So We have to have knowledge and we have to have service attitude also, great service attitude. This way. So at least towards spiritual master, towards superiors, we have to have pranipat, pariprashna and sevaya aspect. Prabhupada is writing. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Prabhupada writes this line so many places. This is one of the regular lines in his purport. Enquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. There is submission and there are enquiries. See, Prabhupada writes a beautiful statement later. He says, both blind following here, both blind following and absurd enquiries are condemned. तो blind following भी नहीं होना चाहिए, and absurd enquiries also should not be there. Like some people, they just want to ask question, and then you want them to render some service. That time they disappeared, like that. And some people, they just want to render service. But if you ask them why you are doing this, they don't understand anything. If somebody tells them something, they may give up chanting also. So because their knowledge is very weak, they are not very, this aspect of knowledge is not clear, so they get easily bewildered by people that way. So both are not good. We should not do blind following, or we should not ask just questions, some absurd kind of inquiries. तो हम लोगों ने क्या करना चाहिए? We should also hear Shastra and try to understand why we are doing what we are doing, to whatever level of intelligence we have. Somebody may be very brilliant, somebody may not be that sharp, but whatever, we should like to hear. If somebody does not like hearing, no, that is a problem. It's a big problem. If you don't like to hear. Hear meaning I'm saying spiritual knowledge. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि अच्छा नहीं लगता सुनने को, नहीं. हाँ, सुनने के बाद समझता नहीं है ज्यादा, दैट्स ओके, वो नो प्रॉब्लम, लेकिन सुनना ही अच्छा नहीं लगता. So it is quite likely that the person may be doing sort of blind following in such cases. It's possible. And on the other hand, somebody is only studying and always asks 100 questions he has 100 questions to ask. But you ask him to render some simple service also, he doesn't want to render. So that is absurd inquiries then. One is not very serious. It's not pariprashna. It is just prashna. Prashna sagar, rather. Prashnon ka sagar. Like I remember when we were initially, when I came to Krishna consciousness, so one of the colleagues from, one of the students from my classroom, he also became sort of interested in Bhakti. And then, he used to just come and ask questions, like whole class he will ask questions. And in the end, eat prasad and leave. So, the devotee who was cultivating us, he would ask that, okay, please come for service. So we would go immediately to serve also, because we are getting to hear such nice philosophy and prasad and everything. So we would go to render some service also. But this person would only ask question and leave. As soon as they would say, please render some service, no, he would say, I don't have time. I have some engagement that way. So he would just ask questions. And so, after some time, when his curiosity got fulfilled, he went away, never to come back, like that. So that proves that he was not very serious to practice. And there was no, you could say, pranipat, and there was no sevaya also. Only prashna were there. It was not pariprashna. There was no submissive inquiry that this way. Or sometimes we see some devotees, then They just never understand the process, that why we are doing what we are doing. हाँ, कि कृष्ण भगवान है, भक्ति विधि है, इसको हम क्यों करते हैं, भक्ति का क्या अर्थ है, योग से कैसे भिन्न है भक्ति। हाँ, ये भी जानना चाहिए ना। If we don't understand these things, tomorrow we will come under influence of someone, and then we get all confused, mixed up that way. So that's why that knowledge aspect is again and again stressed. हाँ, प्रभुपाद ने बहुत अच्छा वाक्य लिखा है इधर। Both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned, he is saying. हाँ, तो अंधानुकरण भी, उसकी भी निंदा हुई है, और मूर्खता के प्रश्न भी नहीं पूछने चाहिए, जिस प्रश्नों से लेके आपको कोई जीवन में उतारने की इच्छा नहीं है, बस प्रश्न 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 प्रश्न। हाँ, you don't want to practice anything. Your questions also don't have anything to do with practice of Krishna consciousness. So that is discouraged. So pranipata, submission, one is offering full respects, and with submission one is hearing from spiritual master or the advanced souls. Second is pariprashna, one is making the inquiries which are thoughtful inquiries, and they're also done in a submissive manner, not in a challenging manner. And third is, one is also rendering the service so that one can actually practice the process that is being instructed. If these three combinations are there, such a person will become very quickly enlightened with the knowledge, his consciousness will raise, one will make a great advancement on the path of bhakti. So that's the sum and substance of this verse. And then we see that so many examples for this, right? Shastra is replete with examples where humble submissive service was rendered, like that. Like we see that this South Indian Brahmana that Lord Chaitanya met, he had rendered such service, submissive service, that although he had not taken great education, or he was not that intelligent in Shastra, but still he had achieved the perfection because he had followed Guru Maharaj's, his Guru's instruction very, very well. That way. We see the example of Narottam Das Thakur, how he served his spiritual master, Loknath Goswami, right? In what menial manner he served so that he could get the mercy. That way. We see in southern Sampradaya, there is example of Ramanujacharya, and his disciples also, Dasharathi, Kuresh, and all of them, how they served, so humbly. Ramanujacharya once sent Dasharathi, and he just served as a humble menial servant in the house of Atulai. So we see that so many examples of very simple, humble service in the ashrama, full of this particular aspect of pranipat or pariprashna and seva. Prabhupada himself was also example of this kind of attitude towards Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So this is the way to get the transcendental knowledge, okay? So it's an important verse, and those three characteristics should always be remembered. Pranipat, pariprashna, seva. Submissiveness, inquisitiveness, service attitude. Yajñatva na punarmoham evam yasyasya pandava yena bhutanya sheshani drakshasyaatmanyatho. Yes.
Translation: having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
Yes. So in this way, once one gets the knowledge in this proper bona fide way, then one will never ever fall into illusion. because one will see that all the living entities, they are in me. Atmani, Atmanyatho Mai. Yes. So, with the proper knowledge that is received by this process, so one will be able to see that all the living entities are connected to me in this manner. They are all in me. So actually, this is the first place where Krishna is seeing in terms of all living entities in him, in terms of that particular aspect, we can see that as the master of all the jivas. So, Prabhupada. So this mentality. Some think that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is only a great historical personality, and the absolute is impersonal Brahman. But actually, factually, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita that impersonal Brahman is personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that absolute means. Okay, just a minute. Yes. So Mayavadi philosophers, they fail to understand that absolute means that 1 plus 1 equal to 1 and 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. So that's transcendental mathematics. 1 plus 1 equal to 1. 1 minus 1 equal to 1. Meaning something comes from Krishna's energy. So still Krishna remains complete. And something goes back into Krishna, still Krishna remains complete. It is not like from Krishna, some other forms come out. Still Krishna remains complete. It's not like something is lost. Or from him, the material world comes out. So now he has become somewhat less complete because he lost some material world from him. No, not like that. 1 minus 1 is 1. Right? Om Purnamada. Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. So many different forms may come from Krishna. Many different material worlds may come from Krishna, but still he remains the Supreme Lord. And when they are inside him, then also he remains the Supreme Lord. So that's the aspect. So Prabhupada is only speaking about this aspect because he's explaining this aspect that all the living entities are in Krishna, which means that they remain as his energy, Jiva Shakti, like that. So that's the point. Okay. So even the most sinful people also, this jnana about Supreme Lord, Atma and Supreme Lord is so wonderful that taking shelter of this boat of knowledge, one will be able to cross over the ocean of samsara. So that's spoken in the next verse. Api chedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittama sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. Yes, Prabhu.
Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries.
Yeah. So api chedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittama. So no matter what one was prior background was, if one takes to this process of transcendental knowledge, process like bhakti, so even if somebody comes from a very extremely sinful background, but this boat of knowledge is so wonderful that it will take us one across the ocean of all the, samsara, all the trouble, ocean of miseries. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, meaning if you have committed before, it's not like when you are rendering bhakti or when you are following this path of jnana and still you are continuing to perform sin. That's not good. That is not good. So some sort of incidental sin which is committed by a devotee, that is okay. But if somebody is committing sinful activities and still thinking that because of bhakti I am fine, so that is aparad actually. Namno balad yasya hi papabut. That is the seventh aparad. So that's why one may have some sinful background before, no matter what. Prior thing is gone, but now we should lead a pure life. So such a person will then should surely cross over by the help of transcendental knowledge. Even Jagai Madhai, when they finally got mercy of Lord Chaitanya said, sin no more. Whatever you have done till now, you have done great torment and trouble to people because they had done all sorts of crimes, heinous crimes. So we can see that they were extremely sinful people. But then, after Lord Chaitanya gave them mercy, he said, sin no more. Now you should not perform any sinful activities. Give up and you just constantly chant Hare Krishna and serve the devotees. So they became great servants of the devotees. And they always lamented their previous pitiable condition this way. So that's the point. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nations and sometimes as a blazing forest. Very nice words. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior, sorry. So you can imagine somebody may be a great swimmer, right? There was a swimmer named, he is there still, Michael Phelps. The greatest swimmer ever lived. Probably had some 25 or 27 Olympic medals, gold medals, Michael Phelps. So now imagine somebody like that, Michael Phelps, or before that there was one Thorpe. All these people, you throw them in ocean and say that, okay, you are great swimmers, so what is the problem? They're thrown in Atlantic Ocean or like that. So is it possible that even Phelps can survive there? Impossible, right? It's practically like how much ever expert you are, you can't do anything. Ocean means it is so vast, right? So that's why this knowledge, transcendent knowledge, is compared to the boat that can take us across the ocean of material existence. So by our own efforts, by our own talent, if we think like, I'll figure out everything, I know what to do with my life. It's like, yes, somebody is a big swimmer and he feels that I will swim across the ocean. Some little bit English Channel and this and that, they may, swim across. But who can swim across the ocean? There is no example like that. Who has swam across the ocean? No. So similarly, we may be very greatly talented people in the material world. We may have great talent for making money, or we may be extremely good in connecting to people, networking. Someone may be very beautiful person, everybody is charmed by their beauty, or someone may be extremely intelligent, someone may have great money and power and prestige. But these are all like that's those swimmers. They can't take us across the ocean of material existence. Meaning, we will still not be able to find the real fulfillment in life. Will not be able to understand the goal of life. We still will always have some situation which will confuse us in life and frustrate us. So we need spiritual master. We need an expert boatsman and we need a good boat also, like that. So sarvam jnana plavenaiva. ज्ञान रूपी प्लव कहते हैं बोट को, जहाज पानी में चलने वाला, या फिर यस यू कैन ship, boat or ship. So that's why this knowledge is needed. So Krishna is glorifying in this chapter transcendental knowledge. So it's not just some theoretical knowledge, it's the whole process of bhakti. But without transcendental knowledge, one will not even know what to do, no? That's why transcendental knowledge is being greatly glorified. Why? Because first you have to know what to do. What is my true existence? That's why it all begins with the knowledge aspect. No? One is Prabhupada books introduce us to the fundamental subject matter and then take us through slowly to the highest subject matter also. So that's why the transcendental knowledge is being glorified. Ignorance is the greatest crime in the world. Remember this. There is no greater, you could say, bane. There is no greater curse than ignorance, where a person doesn't know only what to do. At least one knows, one will strive to practice it. But one doesn't know only, then there is no question of any scope of making advancement, right? So that's why transcendental knowledge is being glorified. यथेधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निर् भस्मसात् कुरुते अर्जुन ज्ञानाग्नि सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा. Yes.
As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burns to ashes all reaction to material activities.
Yeah. So this is the fire of the knowledge. What does it do? It burns all the sinful reactions. In fact, it burns all the karmic reactions to nil. Bhasmasat. Jesse, some fire which is very set ablaze, it burns the firewood to ashes. Similarly, the fire of transcendental knowledge, it burns all karmic reactions, good or bad, both. आपका ना पुण्य रहेगा ना पाप रहेगा. तो फिर one will not come back in the material world. That's the point. देखो, ऐसा मार्ग चाहिए जो आपका पुण्य कर्म और पाप कर्म दोनों खत्म कर दे. If it is only burning the sinful reactions but keeping punya karma, what will happen? Then we have to enjoy that punya karma by coming back in the material. So many sacrifices to devatas and all, they are like that. They will burn the sinful reaction, but they will keep the punya karma intact. So Krishna is telling, go for transcendental path, O Arjuna. Don't get caught up into these material aspects. So you fight in such a manner that it will not generate karma, neither punya karma nor papa karma. This is Krishna's essential message, especially in this section. And for that, the recommended process he is telling is Nishkam Karma Yoga. In the next section of Bhagavad Gita, 7 to 12, he will give the ultimate process, which is Bhakti Yoga. Like that. So, Prabhupada, this fire not only burns all reactions to impious activities, but also reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. This verse is also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu to tell that how process of bhakti, it burns all sorts of reactions. Aprarabdha haratvam, इसके लिए ये श्लोक कोट किया है. सब खत्म कर देता है. Pious reactions or sinful reactions, both. Papa phala, punya phala. And it becomes a clean chit, meaning one will never come back in the material world. There are many stages of reaction in making, reaction fructifying, reaction. So all these things we will study in Bhakti Samrit Sindhu, you don't worry. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and a posteriori, are consumed. So these are the words that Prabhupada has used for prarabdha and aprarabdha. So when bhakti is performed, a priori or a priori, which means that a prarabdha, and a posteriori, which means prarabdha, both are consumed. So these are, we will talk about this in Bhakti Samsindhu. These are basically simple two concepts. You know, the sinful, or rather the reactions which come in this life, as soon as you are born with a certain set of reactions. Excuse me. As soon as you are born with a certain set of reactions, good as well as bad, based on our prior karma. That is called prarabdha. So that prarabdha you have to accept in this life because it's already fructified. So prarabdha is what you will undergo, good or bad karma in this life. That's called prarabdha. And in next life and further lives, that is called aprarabdha. That which is not yet fructified. It is kept for the future life and lifetimes. That is called aprarabdha. So bhakti is such a process, it will not only burn that which is future, but it will also burn what is now in this life. So that's how we see that a devotee, even if he's supposed to suffer in a certain terrible way, Krishna may reduce that karma. So that prarabdha was there that he was supposed to suffer, but Krishna took away that also. And he gave maybe little bit. So it's a very amazing nature of Krishna, especially for devotees. He will reduce the karma, you can see, which a devotee is supposed to suffer. Sometimes a devotee has a sickly body. I mean, sometimes someone by his prarabdha may have sickly body. तो प्रारब्ध की वजह से आपको जैसा शरीर मिलता है ना, कोई सुंदर है, कोई इतना सुंदर नहीं है, कोई बुद्धिमान है, नहीं है, कोई धनी है, ये सब प्रारब्ध की वजह से रहता है. दैट्स कॉल्ड प्रारब्ध. तो उसको आप ज्यादा कर नहीं पाते हो, कुछ उसमें चेंज नहीं कर पाओगे ज्यादा. वो एक सेटअप मिल जाता है, लाइक काइंड ऑफ बॉडी यू हैव गॉट, राइट? यू कैंट चेंज इट मच. Money and all that aspect, little bit we can change, but still, what I'm trying to say is prarabdha is something which is very hard to change. But bhakti process can change that prarabdha also. Prarabdha haratvam. So it's a big discussion in Bhakti Samsindhu Sindhu. We can do at that point like that. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitra miha vidyate tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati. Yes.
In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the nature fruit of all mystical, and one who has become accomplished in practice of devotional service enjoys enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time.
So Krishna is glorifying this knowledge. इस ज्ञान की महिमा बता रहे. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram vidyate. There is nothing as auspicious, as pure as this transcendental knowledge. ज्ञान मतलब यहाँ पे आप जानिए, जीवात्मा और परमात्मा दोनों का ज्ञान बोला जा रहा है. ऐसे मत समझिए कि केवल ब्रह्म का ज्ञान बोला जा रहा है वगैरह, नहीं. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram vidyate. There is nothing as pure as the transcendental knowledge. Tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati. So this transcendental knowledge, it automatically becomes revealed if one practices the path of yoga. So it can mean the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga, or it can, Bhakti itself also can give the aspect of knowledge. Bhakti, Vasudeve Bhakti Yoga, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Janayatyash jnanam chayabhahetukam. Who can receive this knowledge? Shraddhaval labhate jnanam tatparah samyatendriyah Jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadhikacchati. Yes.
A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdue his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved, he quickly attains the supreme supreme spiritual peace.
Yeah. Is it that the text is very small? You are not able to see. I should increase the size probably. No. Yeah.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yes. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So who receives this knowledge is one who is Shraddhavan. So one has to have faith, great faith. So such a person receives this knowledge. So Tadviti Pranipat Pariprashna Sevaya, that also spoke about this aspect of submission, right? But then Shraddha is even more basic. श्रद्धावान सबसे पहले तो श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए. श्रद्धा ही नहीं है तो फिर बाकी क्या होगा? So one will get transcendental knowledge provided one has Shraddha, Shraddhavan. So it begins with faith, like that. That's the point. If you don't have faith, so three kinds of people who don't have this proper faith aspect that is spoken. Adnyascha shraddhadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati. Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshayatmana. Yes, Prabhu.
But ignorant and faithless person who doubt the revealed scripture do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
Yeah, thank you. So श्रद्धावान व्यक्ति को ज्ञान प्राप्त होता है. So three categories are being spoken: agya, ashraddhadhana, and samshayatma. Note these three categories. So what is it mentioned over here? Agya, ajnya or agya in Hindi. So what it means is one who is not having any knowledge. वो तो पूरा अज्ञानी जीव है. Like outside people are there, right? They may not have any understanding of spiritual life. So they're just leading their sinful life and happy. खाओ पियो मजा करो बस बढ़िया. So that such a person is called agya, ajnya. न जानाती थी अज्ञा, उसको नहीं पता है कुछ. Ashraddhadhana is he has some scriptural knowledge. He had studied the scriptures, Vedas, but he does not have the aspect of Shraddha. He does not have any faith in scriptures. He has the knowledge, but he does not have faith. ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं ना, पढ़ते रहते हैं क्या 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 क्या, बट देन दे विल से दैट भगवान किसने देखा है प्रभु जी. बातें ये शास्त्र की बातें हैं, बट किसने देखा है? लाइक दैट दे विल से. So they don't have any faith. Many Kathavachaks also sometimes I saw that. Meaning they read a lot of books and all, but वो कहते कि ये पता नहीं भगवान अभी ये बोली है चीजें किसने देखा है. So you see, for him it's just a profession. He does not believe also that thing. And the third one, Samshayatma, is very problematic. Samshayatma is one who is knowledgeable also, one who has faith also, one may be practicing bhakti also, but that fellow has full of doubts. That fellow is full of doubts. He always has doubts. अरे पता नहीं ये भक्ति process, whether it will give perfection, I don't know. पता नहीं इसका भी फॉल डाउन हो गया, उसका भी फॉल डाउन हो गया, इसका पतन हो गया, मेरा भी हो जाएगा. पता नहीं होगा कि नहीं. I see so many around, nobody has got any taste in japa. So this process doesn't work probably. Samshayatma. So one who is always having samshay. So such a person, even though practicing bhakti also, he has samshaya. So then samshayatma vinashyati, it is said. Nayam, all three of this category basically. Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshayatma. Amongst them, especially samshayatma is the worst because he has knowledge, he is also practicing, but still he is not having the faith that this process will give perfection. Hmm. So actually, he is in such a good association. He has the people guiding. Why should there be so much doubt? People who don't have any knowledge or people who don't have good association process, it's understandable. They may have doubts. But Samshayatma is someone who was fortunate to be in association, but still is a doubting Thomas, keeps on doubting uh, intentions of devotees. Why are devotees asking this? Why are devotees asking that? So that's called a Samshayatma. And such a Samshayatma in this life also will not be happy. And after leaving this world, also such a person may be placed in a situation where he will not be happy. Nayam lokosti na paro. Such a person will not be able to achieve perfection in spiritual life. So that's the point. So three kinds of people. Ignorant like animals. Second, knowledge is there, but no faith. And third, faith is also there, but they do not believe or worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, they may worship also Supreme Personality of Godhead, but then they don't have faith. So then that's why they fall down from Krishna consciousness also. That's the third category. संशयात्मा मतलब यहाँ तक कि वो भक्ति प्रोसेस में भी आके संशय बने रहते हैं उसको. This way. So we should not be like that. Once we accept the process, then we should, with all full faith, go ahead. प्रणिपात परिप्रश्न सेवा. अंधविश्वास से भी नहीं करना है, लेकिन ऐसे भी नहीं कि सिर्फ प्रश्न पूछते बैठ गए. कुछ सेवा तो करना ही भूल गए, वो भी ठीक नहीं. बोथ, एवरीथिंग इज देयर. प्रणिपात परिप्रश्न सेवा, लाइक दैट. सो ऐसा जो व्यक्ति है, सच अ पर्सन विल बिकम फ्री फ्रॉम the bondage. So that's all, last two verses. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya. Yes.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his reaction, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reaction of work, O conqueror of riches.
So such a person who in this way, yoga sanyasta karmanam, he is situated in Nishkam Karma Yoga, or Prabhupada takes the meaning as bhakti. Krishna is speaking still on the level of Nishkam Karma Yoga only. So basically this means Nishkam Karma Yoga. But these principles also apply for bhakti. So Prabhupada gives the meaning as bhakti also. So in this way, one is situated in Nishkam Karma Yoga, Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam, by understanding of knowledge of spiritual life, body, soul, one has cut down all the doubts. So such a person, he will never ever be bound by the bondage. Tasmadajnana sambhutam hridstham jnanasya atmana chitvainam samshayam yogam atishthotishth bharata.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes. Tasmat ajnana sambhutam. Therefore, tasmat. Krishna is ending his instruction here on this topic. So that's why, take this agyan out from your heart, O Arjuna. Jnana sina. Asi means sword. ज्ञान की तलवार से ये जो अज्ञान तुम्हारे हृदय में अज्ञान की वजह से जो संशय आया है, अज्ञान संभूतम संशयम, that what should I do? Should I fight or not fight? This is all because of ignorance, O Arjuna. So cut it down with the sword of the knowledge. Situate in Nishkam Karma Yoga. Yogam Attishtha, उत्तिष्ठ भारत. और क्या ऐसे बैठ गए हो एकदम मरे हुए व्यक्ति की तरह? उठो and fight, like that Krishna is saying. So that's how, right, in life sometimes we also become depressed, एकदम मरे हुए लोगों की तरह. So transcendental knowledge, Guru's instruction, Shastra's instruction, it tells us, अरे उत्तिष्ठ, उत्तिष्ठित, जागृत, प्राप्य वरान निबोधत. अरे उठो, arise, awake, and understand what sort of benediction you have got. Krishna is there in our life. Why should we be depressed? After all, we also know the goal of life, right? It's not that money and success in material world, that's only the goal of life. So if I am not doing well on that, my all life is doomed. Nothing. So we know that actually goal, it's just one aspect, money and success and all that. That's just one aspect of life. And there's this huge aspect of leading the life on the real standard of Krishna Bhakti and all. So that still remains within our control, right? Always. And we should strive hard. So that's why transcendental knowledge is compared to a sword. It will cut down the samshaya, and one will remain enthusiastic to perform bhakti or duty in this world. So that's what Krishna is telling Arjuna. That don't be like this. Don't be confused. Don't be full of doubts. Rather, get up, situate yourself in Nishkam Karma Yoga, Yogam Atyashtha, and fight. So that's it. Prabhupada says the yoga system instructed in this chapter is Sanatana Yoga. This yoga has two divisions. One is called sacrifice of material possessions, Dravya Yagya, and the other one is Jnana Yagya. So he brings up that discussion again. Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifices. So Prabhupada is saying that all these sacrifices that Krishna mentioned, they may lead to some level of purification and finally to the understanding of Atma and all that. But the highest sacrifice is Krishna consciousness, because it will bring you to the highest understanding, like that. So even when somebody is doing all these other sacrifices, one should remember that the real objective is actually to gradually come to Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yagya as the greatest sacrifice. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in matter of transcendental knowledge. Thank you very much. So we have completed this chapter. Tomorrow we'll continue with chapter 5. So Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, in summary, 1 to 15, we discussed the Krishna's transcendental qualities, nature, his appearance. And then from 16 to 24, we discussed Nishkam Karma Yoga. And from 25 to 42, we discussed various kinds of sacrifices, the process to get transcendental knowledge, three kinds of doubters, Agya, Samshayatma, and Ashraddhadhana. And finally, Krishna's call to Arjuna to situate in Nishkam Karma Yoga and fight. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, is there any question on this chapter? Anything you want to ask? Because this chapter is ended now. It's finished.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Prabhuji, what is the difference between karma and prarabdha?
Karma and prarabdha. Okay. See, when we talk about karma, no, Prabhu, karma is the overall aspect. Like हम लोग ऐसे बोलेंगे कि we will say that this is my karma. So now this karma is total actually aspect. So karma usually refers to sanchit karma. Now within that sanchit karma, there is two divisions. There is prarabdha and aprarabdha. So prarabdha is something which is fructified in the life already. आप जन्मे ना, जिस वक्त जन्मे माता पिता से, उसी वक्त आप कुछ प्रारब्ध लेके आ गए, तो वो अभी इस जन्म में आपको भोगना ही भोगना पड़ेगा. That can mean sinful reactions, that can also mean good reactions, pious reactions. So that will bring some happiness in your life and some distress in your life. That's called prarabdha. While karma, when we talk about karma, it basically means whole complete component of karma, which means that which fructified in this life. It also means that which will fructify in the next life, not this life. आगे के जन्म में भी तो आपने पिछले कर्मा के आधार पे कुछ चीजें आपको मिलने वाली है. So usually when we say karma means sanchit karma, well, the word karma can have many meaning, but I'm understanding that in terms of prarabdha, karma means the total, sanchit karma. Prarabdha, aprarabdha, both combinedly. That's called sanchit karma. There is one more karma called kriyaman, but we'll not get into that right now. That's okay. That concept you can learn in Bhakti Samsund. तो कर्म मतलब प्रो आप जानिए कंप्लीट सारा, और प्रारब्ध प्रारब्ध मतलब जो प्रारब्ध यानी जो इस जीवन में भोगना है, अप्रारब्ध यानी जो अगले जीवन में आएगा, ऐसे. और इन दोनों को मिला दो, दैट विल बी कॉल्ड कर्म. ठीक है.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other question? All right then. Thank you so much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.